Hello and thank you for joining me. This is 1 in 20 D&D and I am Gregory. Here we go with the next recap for the VÄRLDEN Reach. This is for session 16. This of course is a 5e D&D game. I'm one of the players and we have a blast with this every week. And this is kind of my decompression of what happened in the last session. So here we go. In session 15, at the end of the session, Germain was at his Uncle Patrizio's shop and had spent the night with his uncle, watching his uncle kind of work furiously on another design, a new design. He had been inspired by the magical mandolin that Germain brought with him and had found on his adventures. And apparently his uncle was inspired by this and asked if he could borrow it for the night and make some notes and create the next great thing. So Germain was excited for his uncle first and foremost because, something was up, business was not going well for some reason, and if this helped his uncle, well, that would be fantastic. So Germain kind of spent the night like he used to do when he was a little kid, spending the time awake in his uncle's workshop, watching him kind of work feverishly through the evening. This, of course, gave Germain a level of exhaustion in game mechanics terms starting the next day, which I don't recommend. It made this session really fun and challenging for Germain, but not in the best of ways. He had plenty of rolls that were probably flubbed just because he was rolling with disadvantage on everything for being so exhausted, and not so much fun. But, of course, it made for a great story. So what happened? When we woke up in the morning, Uncle Patrizio said, "Hey, I'm going to go get some bagels." Went out real quick, and Germain was like, "Okay, what's he been working on all night?" He's been in there most of the night watching him, but he kind of lost track of where his uncle left the mandolin. So he looks in the shop, doesn't see the mandolin, is kind of like, what's going on here? Heads out, runs out after his uncle, sees him in the street on his way back from the bagel shop, and kind of his uncle's like, "Well, what are you doing, Germain? I went to get some bagels. Why are you out here?" Like, "Oh, well, I just needed to stretch and get some fresh air. It was a long night." So the two go back into the shop, and basically Germain kind of levels with him. He said, "Uncle Patrizio, look, I'm a man now. I'm part of the Vactaire. I've been through war. In the army, I went through battles. I'm not a little kid anymore. And not only that, I'm in a position that I can actually help people. And I can see that something's going on. Why don't you tell me what's up?" So his uncle finally kind of, he had the weight of his world on the shoulders before this, and it kind of like finally decided he would level with Germain and tell him what was really going on. And it turns out that the Himlig, which is the crime syndicate in Brennan, has apparently started extorting his uncle, as well as other shop owners within the city of Falkirk. This is kind of a new development. They were there before, but they were never extorting the shop owners. This has kind of gotten a little out of hand. And of course, Germain is kind of furious from this. So he says, "Hey, let me look into this. I will take care of this. The loot, the mandolin," he admitted that he was giving the mandolin. He gave the mandolin basically to them as payment, and for like a month and a half worth of payment, because he was falling behind and just couldn't keep up, and that's why he was so stressed, and there were no loots in the shop, and business was so crappy because he just couldn't keep up. So Jermaine's like, "You know what? The mandolin came to me. It was luck that it came to me. If it's meant to be mine, we will find it and we'll get it back. If not, I'm just glad you're safe and you're okay. Let me talk to my friends and let me see what I can do." So he goes to the inn where everyone was staying, and when he gets there, only Marana and Perdita are downstairs having breakfast. The rest of the group, well, the players, unfortunately had to miss the session. So the three of us were having a short, fun session just by ourselves, and we determined that the other characters had mysteriously or just inconveniently got, or conveniently as it were, gotten food poisoning or something and woke up horribly sick from the stew. Only Perdita and Marana had had the fish the evening before, and apparently they were okay. So Jermaine sits down and says to the two of them, "Look, I'm not sure how to even go about asking you this, because I don't want to make you do anything or I would never ask you to do anything that would make you uncomfortable or put you out in any way. However, I think I really need your help." And he kind of fills him in on what's going on and basically says, "Hey, we've got a couple leads. My uncle told me kind of where to start and gave me some ideas, but I need to look into this. I'm gonna deal with this. Will you help me, please?" And they're both, of course, like, come on, Jermaine, of course we'll help you. You're our friend. And so we head out and make a bunch of rounds. So we go, and I want to really condense this because the details of each different person we talk to and all that, not important at all, really, in the long run. It was some awesome, fun role-playing. Again, here's what happened. Jermaine stayed up all night, so he ends up with exhaustion. So I'm rolling with a disadvantage on all of his checks. So that was kind of fun and funny and made it crazy. Besides that fact, even Marana and Perdita, it's like everyone, our roles were kind of off for the evening. I think each of us only had like one roll above a 10 the whole evening. So it was kind of a comedy of errors. However, we did manage to go and kind of sort of suss out what happened. Now, one of the most fun things that happened, two big things happened in this session, I should say, as far as Gregory is concerned or Jermaine is concerned. The first was that Jermaine and the ladies encountered an old classmate of Jermaine's, Nero, on the street. Now, Nero is this gnome performer, went to the Bard College with Jermaine, but went more into the performance side of being a bard, and he's this character who like dyes his beard a crazy color and is just this like outlandish kind of character. And he recognized Jermaine. He's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And here's what was amazing about it. He recognized Marana, and not Marana as she is, as this like powerful ranger in this kind of like, with this like scraggly look about her, with this animal companion, the Black Panther. Now, he remembered, he's like, "I recognize you. You're from Handel, aren't you? But you used to be super hot and wear like evening gowns, and I played for your family and this and that." And so all this stuff happens and Jermaine is just kind of like dumbfounded, like, okay, why the heck, how the heck does Nero even know who this is? What is he talking about? Marana wearing a dress and like, looking beautiful. And not only that, I think the thing that floored him the most was that he said something to the effect of like, "Yeah, I remember when I saw you, because it was this one evening performance or something." He's like, you were talking and mingling and doing your and Jermaine is just like looking at Marana, looking at Nero, looking at Marana, looking at Nero, like, you can't be talking about the same person. So it was quite fun and interesting. So now Jermaine has gotten this kind of thought in his mind now of like, maybe, obviously people change, and he knows this because he's changed at least, one or two times in his life pretty substantially. But now he's looking at this, like, this woman who he is attracted to, and he's just getting to know and trust, and has seen her in battle, and he's knowing her as this woman who like she doesn't want to talk to people. She wants to be left alone. She kind of keeps to herself. It's like she only speaks when she's a woman of few words, and it's powerful because she only speaks when it's important enough to speak. And I really dig that, both as a player, as a person, but also Jermaine really digs that. He because it's kind of the opposite of who he is, right? Although he isn't that verbose, he does enjoy people and speaking and, telling stories and the whole thing. So they're kind of opposites in that, which is a lot of fun. And so he got this like shock of like, wow, maybe Marana's not who I even imagined she might be. So that's kind of fun, and he's definitely eager to learn more about that. Even if he doesn't ever get to see her in a dress, it's still an exciting thought for Jermaine. All right, the other fun, cool thing that happened is that in the course of us trying to figure out, okay, what's going on in this city, which we have determined that the Hemlig recently underwent some kind of a new change in leadership within Falkirk, and a guy named Echo apparently is running the show now. He probably / possibly, actually, let's say, is most likely in cahoots with the mayor and or the constable of the city. Now, whether or not they're actually in bed together and working together or that kind of thing, or maybe Echo's got something on the constable and the mayor, that remains to be seen. However, there's something kind of fishy happening there. And apparently this Echo cat has come in and like stepped things up. So whereas before the Hemlig was mostly kind of doing maybe some black market kind of stuff, and maybe they're kind of like drugs and illicit weapons or that kind of, something along those lines. Now they've started trying to roll shop owners and getting protection money from shop owners. So there's something happened recently, and Jermaine and the others, Jermaine and Perdita and Marana are trying to get to the bottom of it. One of the things they do in the course of that is they get to go, and there's one shop in town that they learn about that is called the Needful Things is the name of the shop. And Andor Brightbeard, make sure I get the name right. I want to make sure I get this name right. Andor Brightbeard. Let me make sure. Andor. I know I wrote it down. Anlo Quickbeard. See, that's why I had to look it up. Anlo Quickbeard at Needful Things. He basically apparently hasn't had. People think he hasn't had any trouble. Doesn't seem to have trouble with these thugs. Well, it turns out, long story short, that Anlo is the brother of none other than Aranis Quickbeard from Orison. Yeah, the shop owner that tried to get us killed, and who we rolled because he tried to get us killed way back in session 3 or 4. And who recently when we were just in Orison and our friends tried to go to Bewitched, and they found out that they were buddies with Aranis, and he kind of poisoned the well for us with them. Yeah, here he comes back again to rear his ugly head. So Jermaine went, first thing we did is we just kind of went by the shop. Jermaine went invisible to do a little reconnaissance, kind of peeked in the shop, didn't really see anything interesting, didn't see Aranis. He just saw Anlo and saw like a family resemblance and figured, well, it could be maybe he moved here and changed his appearance or something, or maybe it's just a relative or what. So he decided, like, maybe we can go and let's go see Nero and his companion or partner, Sanira, perform at the Palace, which is like the place to play in Falkirk. And let's go check out their show and see them first. Well, after that, they decided, you know what, we need to go by this shop and see what's going on with this guy. So we go in there and we decide we're going to talk to him. So we go in the shop, and within a few short moments, Marana, or Ku, actually, none of us, in fact, the three of us were kind of like clueless, but Ku sensed someone like hiding in the back of the shop. So she goes to go back there, and the next thing we know is we hear Uranus in the back of the shop like, oh no, not again. so, so, so Uranus kind of comes out, and he's like, what are you people doing here? I came here to get away from you all. It was hysterical. Jermaine finally rolled a decent roll, and it wasn't even a decent roll. It's just because I had advantage. I had advantage on the roll, which negated my negated the disadvantage from the exhaustion level. That was a crap roll. So I'm like, well, okay, well, I've got inspiration that I haven't used, so let me use from the DM. Let me use that. That was a crap roll. I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm gonna flip my coin of fate, Jermaine's magical coin that lets him change one or re-roll 1d20 roll. Finally, I rolled a 10. That's the high roll, which is good because Jermaine has this crazy high persuasion. So I finally persuade them, like, look, we don't want to hurt you guys. We're not here to like wreck your shop or any of that. We just need to know what's going on. So Aranis is like, I just want to go home, tell them what's going on, because basically Marana figured these guys have to have, and I think Perdita to some degree as well, was like, you know what, this dude's got to be connected with crime. There's just no, we know that Aranis was in Orson. Why wouldn't this guy be here? Maybe the whole family is, right? They gave us the skinny on what's going down. So out of the palace, underneath the palace, that's like the base of operations for the Hemlig in Falkirk. These two, well, not these two, but the older brother, Anlo, and of course his brother, I guess in some way, Anlo works for the Hemlig. So they're basically the stuff that the Hemlig gets but can't like fence goes to the Quickbeards, and then they sell it in their shop to make some kind of a little profit or something. So they're kind of on the inside, and they basically say, here's where the base is, here's how you get there, watch out for this is what you can expect, here's where Echo's office is, that's how you get there. We're done, we're going to leave town, and we don't ever want to be seen again. Please don't find us ever again. So it was just awesome and outrageous and so much fun. So those were the two big things that happened in this session. Was number one, thank God, well, I guess, so number one, Jermaine has learned some little juicy tidbits about Marana, which he's excited about and wants to know more about. But number two, which was more important to the greater story of the whole arc and the whole group, is that the Hemlig is doing something out of, that they shouldn't. And thank goodness Titus didn't come with us to the Quickbeard, because he probably would have torn the place down. So, man, what a fun time. And it was just a great episode. It was nice because it was just the three of us with Mark, our DM, and it was just great. We had a wonderful time. I mean, it was a nice session. Being able to kind of like focus in on some of Jermaine's stuff was awesome. Again, now he's pissed. He's pissed. Somebody's messing with his family, and it's like Perdita or Marana. Now I can't remember which, if it was TBQ or if it was Morgan. One of them said it perfectly in the game session, sort of out of character. It was kind of like, Jermaine's, the line has been crossed with Jermaine. They finally seen where his line is, because when he came back from in the morning to talk to them and ask them for help, he was just like seething, like he was trying to keep it cool, but under the surface he was freaking pissed. Yeah, he's angry, and so heads will roll. So now that we know what's going down, he's like, I can't wait to get Lily, because I can finally give her not only free will, but ask her to please help me burn something. So I can't wait for this next session. As always, I think Saturday is going to be an absolute blast. We get to go into the sewers and do some infiltration and see if we can't maybe knock this group of the Hemwick down a notch and get them back in their place. Like, hey, you guys stick to the shadows. Stop, giving trouble to the local townspeople, huh? And let them come to you. You better not come to them. So I can't wait. I'm so excited. It's just too much fun. This was getting long-winded, so wait, stop! Don't stop the video. I just realized that I can't believe I didn't really say this, and I need to say it before we end. So, how cool is it that the two people in the party that Jermaine cares the most about at this point, he cares for all of them. However, Perdita is very quickly becoming Jermaine's best friend, which is super important for Jermaine's background, but why is that? That will be revealed at some point, I imagine, or maybe not. But for sure, she is becoming kind of his best friend, and he really digs that. And how cool is it that they got to pal around for this session? And then on top of that, Marana, who he is just like realized like he's, wow, he is totally infatuated with her. Not infatuated. That's probably not the right way to say it. He's totally fascinated by her and certainly attracted to her and wants to get to know her better. And how cool is it that he got to do a little, bonding with her? She's helping him deal with something that's super important to him, his family, and dealing with what's going on with his family. And she basically said, you know what, I could care, bullies and assholes, I got no tolerance for them, so I'm happy to help. So super cool. TBQ and Morgan, you're fantastic. Thank you for being such awesome role players. It was a really fun session. And anyway, that's all for now. Go ahead, finish the video. I'm just going to end it here and say thank you for tuning in to another one of my rantings about our crazy adventures within the realm of the VÄRLDEN Reach. I want to thank, as always, our wonderful DM, the Bearded Bugbear. He does a fantastic job each week. Hey, I had some fun time doing some Car Wars videos lately. I will keep those coming out to you. I have our D&D game from Monday night. I'm working on editing those videos. I will get them to you as soon as possible, so please tune in. Stay tuned for all that good stuff. I will have another session recap next week, as always. I hope to see you at a table someday. In the meantime, keep rolling 20s.